Jacinta, thank you. You're slowly becoming a alumni of my show. It's probably like the fourth, I think, or something like that. Maybe.
Third or fourth.
Yeah. No, which I appreciate very much.
Anytime. Always got time for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We were just touching on just before we kind of started recording. Got a fight soon, man. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Which is exciting. In Europe, in Germany. Have you been to that part where you're fighting? Have you been there before, like kind of the fight got announced and stuff? Was it the first time you'll be going to Germany?
Yeah, first time in Germany, yeah. I did some amateur kickboxing competing in Hungary, in Budapest, and we did some training in Vienna, in Austria, but not Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like training in that part of the world?
We went in winter, so it was really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good mental training.
Yeah, but it was very cool because we were I was there to fight, but we were there a little bit beforehand to train. And weight cutting wasn't so much a thing then, so we'll kind of get into travel and train and eat quite a bit too. So it was pretty cool.
Talk about so the promotion you're on, it's Oktagon MMA, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
So is that sorry, I got a whole bunch of questions which I want to keep in front of me. So is that a premier promotion there? Like, talk a little bit about the promotion there. Like, is it it is an MMA, like a full MMA promotion?
Yeah. It's one of the top ones in Europe. It's a full MMA promotion. Yeah. They have quite a few shows. I think every I think 8 weeks or so they have a show.
Yeah. How did that come about? How did you jump on it?
It all came through my management. Came through Phoenix management. They were offering one of their girls for a while now. They sort of put the offer out there, but there was always something in the way, like the last one clashed with the timing of my last fight.
Fair enough.
Then when we got back, the offer that was there, but it was like 2 weeks after that fight, so kind of got to heal up a bit, and had a lot of problems with my ears at that point as well. Like, couldn't really train on them at all.
Yeah.
And then they offered it kind of a third time, and they offered it with maybe to make it a bit more enticing with a 3-fight contract.
Oh, cool. So you signed a 3-fight. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
so I signed a 3-fight deal.
So you'd be a German resident for a minute then.
Well, it's worked out real well. Yeah. So this fight is a title eliminator. So me and Sophia will fight, and the winner will fight for the title next.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Was that something that they had on the cards, or is that something that your management and yourself pushed for, it being a title eliminator, or is it something that they wanted to happen?
Well, they obviously have their own fighters. Their own fighter, whether or not you say her name, Jacinta or Delista, I'm not too sure. They have their own fighter that they want to push. Like, they're trying to grow the division, I guess, in the end, to get her to fight for that title. So, getting a bunch of girls from different countries to do kind of like an elimination to see who gets to fight her for it, to just build the division a little bit, create a little bit of buzz around it, because there's really not many shows that do these kinds of things for strawweight females, really. So I think it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And so I'm assuming you get through this fight, you win, and then the actual title shot will be in the same promotion in Germany?
Yeah, in September.
In September,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of got the roadmap planned out for you in a way, eh? You kind of know what you need to do in order to get yourself there. What is it like? Like, it seems like, I mean, not even just myself, anyone that follows MMA in Australia, and New Zealand, but in Australia especially, it almost seems like you reached your ceiling here. Like, you've competed very consistently, highly ranked, and it seems like this next step is almost inevitable. Like this is what you kind of need. This is the path that you kind of needed to go down in order to grow, and I guess, you know, keep building your resume and you know, fight some of the best fighters in the world. Would you say that? Would you say that that's a good account of it?
I think all these girls, like my last fight, and these next two girls that I'll be fighting are all the best in the world outside of the UFC. I think they're all on the brink of being in the UFC, and we're all kind of fighting for that top position. So yeah, there's no easy fights here. But these next two fights I think are really going to be important for me to develop a bit more before I get where I want to go.
100%.
Just to develop all my martial arts a bit more before, like after the last one, I kind of in my head I was like, I'm going to win this one spectacularly, and then next will be, you know, UFC or Dana White's Contender or something like that. But I think what that fight showed us is that I just need a little bit more time to develop first.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's inevitable. I mean, and it's great that that's the way you looked at it, because sometimes you can get disheartened by a loss, right? And then you start to question whether...
Oh, don't worry, I did.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you know, but I think just in general, just what you just said, like having time... having time to kind of look at it and realize that, hey, I couldn't be better in these little gaps. But personally, I mean, and I said this to your coach, Alex, as well, I don't think you're far off the UFC. I personally, especially when it comes to strawweight, I think, you know, you'd be exactly the fresh blood that they need there. And I think, you know, the foundation you've built, you know, you fought who's who, and you've never really backed down from a tough challenge. I even think back to and I spoke to one of my mates about it when you fought in the No Limit promotions, and you and I forgot her name, is Ruiz, I think it was.
Viviana Ruiz.
Is no joke. And I remember sitting back and watching you fight that and have that fight. And you know, you of all people will know more than many, and if any, that, you know, you could be a mixed martial artist, but when you decide to scope into one specific martial arts, it's almost an even playing field. It doesn't matter whether, you know, a variety of martial arts, but, you know, if you're going to go fight in boxing and you fight a purist boxer, it's a different ball game. So, and, you know, you came out of that fight really great, you know, and got that one over, and for me that was a level of respect that, you know, whether it was kickboxing, boxing, MMA, you know, you're willing to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions and, you know, fight the very best, which anyone who wants to be a world champion should, right? So, you know, but definitely, like, I think, you know, your pedigree speaks for itself, and I think, like, you know, you're not far off, and, you know, would love to see you in the UFC. And, you know, that's just not me saying it as a mate or you being a guest. It's just in general. I think it's, you know, the doors, you know, you've been knocking on the door, and maybe and it's great to see that you found another outlet to get you closer to that, which is obviously fighting in Germany, fighting in Europe as well, and it's a different beast there too, right? You know, different caliber of fighters as well, and all of a sudden you kind of go from Australasia to a larger pool of, you know, fighters, right? Europe is like, you know, you go down the road in another country, you know what I mean? So there's so many fighters, right? So I think that's great. I think you know, it's probably a massive plus for you in that sense. And so from this promotion, or in general, there is a what's the word I'm looking for? There is an avenue for to get exposure to an organization like UFC.
It's it's a big organization, so it's going to be kind of streamed everywhere over there. To have the next two fights and to win them both would have me at 6-1, which is pretty good. And to also have a title, a belt in that, an Oktagon belt, means a lot as well. So I think if I was being somewhat considered before, with the idea that I needed another win, obviously I just missed out on that win. I think to go and get another 2 on Oktagon, including a belt over 2 girls title, with they both have good records. They both have a lot more fights than me as well.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, like, they're always fighting. Right? There's no shortage of girls. I would have fought more if we had more girls here. But yeah, they're both reputable opponents. They're both really highly skilled, and to beat both of them, I'd be pretty much in. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed about you is you have a love for kickboxing still, man, no matter what. Of course, which I love. I love that, because kickboxing was my first ever baby that, I ever got introduced to martial arts or got to train in something, was kickboxing. And I haven't got to do it in a while, but I always see myself going back and just, training more consistently again and etc. But yeah, watching you, it's funny because I always think you could tell that you have a deep love still, no matter what, for that form of art. Like, you know, I mean, obviously, it kind of probably exploded you into the scene, got you really involved in the whole fight world, because obviously with your history in kickboxing, but something that I saw, obviously, and that you mentioned was obviously your trip to Japan. What was that experience like? I mean, anyone that knows or follows fighting knows what Japan, Japan's like. And I also you also mentioned that how they wanted you to play the villain at the end of that fight, which I was fucking laughing. I was laughing at that. Talk about that experience. And because I was like, when you said that, I was like, oh man, this is what people don't see. This is why people promote fights the way they promote it, because this is what makes it watchable for people, and gets bums on seats, right? But it was funny when you said that they want you to play the villain, and then it's funny then watching your photos, and I didn't even know she was there for most of the face-offs, was she? Because did she have like a poster of her or something?
No. Okay, so she had with all the build up with they do a lot of press conferences in the lead up, and obviously I wasn't there for those because they're not going to fly me weeks in advance out. So she was just there, just the Japanese fighters are part of it. So they'll print like your photo, so you sit next to them at the press conference, and then she I really don't know what she was saying, but she was talking and looking at it, and I was just kind of plonked there on the table. I thought it was really funny, actually. And then they do like life-size ones of you as well, so they can stand next to them and stuff. And then when we got there, we did one face-off, but they so I couldn't, like, we had one translator there, so I would only kind of speak to one guy. Sometimes I think it's funny if he just kind of like made it up himself and translated it that way. But I guess we're the outsider coming in. Saho was a bit of a name over there at this point. She's a bit of a local favourite. And she was undefeated as well. So they wanted like the big bad Aussie to come in and play the dark horse role, I guess. And even with all the pre-fight stuff, they'd actually sent a videographer out to Australia about 2 weeks beforehand to do some training and stuff. And before that, I thought this is kind of weird because they had me like in my hoodie outside near the train station, like posing against graffiti walls and walking down dark streets, and like the hood over my eyes so you can just only kind of see the eyes. And I was like, I feel like this is going in a certain direction. Like, this doesn't particularly match my personality, but this is the way that they're filming.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so I kind of got like and then when the video came out, I was like, damn, I look like a real, like, bit of a thug.
Yeah.
But it was
that was always
cool.
Interesting. It's like the battle between being authentic to yourself and then having to play a certain position for the promotion of the fight. That's why I found it interesting when you said that. I was like, I wonder how that would have been.
Even the video, they would like her promo video was full of light and flowers and beautiful, and mine was dark and it was at night, and they'd zoomed in on like barbed wire that I was sitting on near a fence of barbed wire, and they'd like zoom in on the barbed wire. But the way they do it is cool. And then when we got there before the face off, the translator, he's like, oh, they want you to play, like, get up there and shove her or something, get in her face a bit. And I was like, oh, like I did it a little bit because that's what they want. I'm going to do it. And also, it's almost fight time, so I am a bit, can be a bit of a bully anyway.
You're like already charging to go. Is she aware of any of this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would think so because it's her promotion.
She just pushed me.
Yeah, but Japanese people as well, especially all the fighters there and all the people we dealt with, are very quiet and they're very respectful and they're very they're just very modest and kind of almost meek. So it felt almost like weird to get up in the face of someone who's not provoking you. So I didn't do it over the top, but I did get in her face a little bit, and I almost felt bad because she was so like, she did look surprised. She was like, "What did I do to you?" You know?
Yeah. That's why I thought that's why I asked that question, because I was like, imagine what would go through her. Like she's thinking, "Fuck, what the hell?"
Yeah.
Like,
Even the translator, he's like, "Get up there, like maybe give her a little shove or something." And just to play around, I kind of shoved him, and I was like that. And he looked so shocked, like he was like, he looked so scared for a second because they're just such gentle people. Yeah. But yeah, that was really fun. And then with the interviews and stuff, they're like, talk about how like she's arrogant and you don't think she's very good and, you know, she's overestimated and stuff. I was like, all right. So I spoke about that. Meanwhile, in the back of my head, knowing that she had just like finished her last opponent, so a little bit like,
Last thing I need is to keep feeding her. Yeah. That's crazy.
It was a lot of fun.
How was that experience overall? Like just being in Japan and just fighting overseas and being able to kind of almost see the world in that in doing something that you're passionate about.
I loved it. It was everything that I had set out to do from the beginning.
Yeah.
And just because I'm like not continuing down that path doesn't mean that it wasn't like so important to me that I did it. Like when we got the offer, I was deep into MMA and I was set on MMA. But when we got the offer and I spoke to Alex about it, we're like, how can we not? Like it's K1. It's something I wanted since I started 8 years ago. So we're like, we'll just do, it was only, the camp wasn't long, like 7 weeks. We can put these 7 weeks towards kickboxing. And it was everything I thought it was going to be. It was like glamorous and fun and quirky, and they put you up in a hotel. There was a few international fighters there. They put you in the hotel, and all the Japanese fans will like wait in reception for you to come down because they have all like stamps and printed out photos of the fighters, and they get them like signed off. It's like a game of some sort. Yeah. And everyone over there just loves kickboxing. Like here, kickboxing is a bit of like, it's not very popular.
Yeah, gotcha.
But over there, it is like, it's the football. Everyone wants to watch it. Everyone wants to see the fighters. Yeah. It's very cool.
I guess that's pretty humbling in a way as well, right? Being able to do something like kickboxing, which is a big part of your life, a big part of your fighting career, and then get to actually do it in a higher platform where it's respected, like you said, to the level of football and etc. as well, right?
And an all-girls show too. Like
was it? It was an all-girls show.
Yeah, the fact that they can put on like an all-girls show. With a a four-woman Grand Prix as well. That was. And the stadium's packed out with people that want to watch females, and they're all small females too. They're all like, I was the biggest one. They're all like 48 kilos, just small people. And I said the girls beforehand are like drinking water to try and get their weight up before they step on the scale. I felt like a giant. But yeah, it was very cool. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah. I guess in a way, I mean, even though it was just the all kickboxing show, I mean, the good thing is that it helps you refine your kickboxing skills in a way, right? Because, end of the day, mixed martial arts is mixed martial arts. There's different components, right? So at least this gets you to kind of go down a rabbit hole and,
and the girl I was fighting next in MMA after this Japanese fight was from City Kickboxing. So we were thinking, she's going to be a highly skilled kickboxer. So it was kind of like a good preparation for it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Can only imagine how Alex would have gone down a deep one.
Because it was 2 back-to-back fight camps as well. It was
was it? Okay,
it was like 16 weeks of just zoned in and scheming and plotting and going from trying to like kickbox someone, and then immediately we changed it for the next fight. And we're like, all right, we're going to submit the kickboxer this time. So like going from like 2 contrasting game plans was very fun actually.
Yeah. How's that growth been like? I mean, even just in general with us talking from, the first time around to now, like how's that growth been with yourself and Alex and the team? Like, you know, from just local shows to now like traveling the world, and you know, and you know, now it's just like almost like, you know, the caliber of fighters are much more higher, and which means a lot more detailed game plan. What's that journey been like? Something it's something I raised with him when I spoke to Alex, but something that I got to witness when I came to do some video content with you while you were training. Man, the one thing that got to me was just his calmness, like, and I told him that I was like, the way he got his message across to you guys, it's almost equivalent to someone, you know, wanting to say, "Oh, what happened here?"
Feels like we're in a disco.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah. It almost felt like anyone just saying it. I wouldn't say aggressively, but he just got his message across in such a precise way, in a way that it's like, you know, he delivered it like he was meant to smack you across the face. That's how I felt. Like, it was just he was strong about his message, but very, very humbling tone in how he said it. But you could tell that it stuck, you know. And it's something that was the first thing that stuck out to me when I was there and I was watching. I was like, whoa, I love the way that he delivers his message to you guys and how he gets you guys to do what he's asking.
Yeah, there's no confusion.
Very, very clear and concise, and talks in such a way that it's like I could see that would stick with me. You know, if he was giving me advice, it would stick with me.
Yeah.
Talk about that growth and that relationship, because it's just as important. I mean, it's almost like you've kept the same team for a very long time now too, and he's been a big part of your corner. How's that growth been together as well?
Yeah. We started off kind of meshing really well together straight from the beginning. But the stakes were kind of a lot lower than, you know, first couple fights. And even when we did the boxing and the kickboxing, you obviously want to win, but if you don't, it doesn't really affect your MMA career. So the stakes weren't too high on it. Yeah, gotcha. But now, like, the level that we're competing at in the international fights, it's the stakes are so much higher. So sometimes the like the pressure in the training room is a bit higher. But I feel like I think we've gotten better, like so much better at working together since back then. And we've had to go through like some tougher times now. We've had to go through my first loss together. And I think when you do lose is kind of when, not just with your coach, but with everyone, is when you kind of see people's true colours.
The real test.
Yeah. And I think the loss that we did have had hit him as hard as it hit me, maybe even harder. Yeah. So watching us have to like build back from that, and just because when you lose, it kind of like we were talking about earlier, it does shake you for a minute and make you question if you're even if you're doing the right things or if you're on the right path, or you know, if this is what was actually meant for you. Because before that, you're like, this is what I meant to do, and then when you lose, you question if that's...
It's easy when you're winning too, right?
Yeah. So we've had to grow a lot together from that and learn like some good and bad things about each other and about the way we prepare and the way we move forward. But yeah, we've built like a bigger team over the past couple of years as well. Before it was kind of just it was just me and him. I was the only MMA fighter. He was kind of the only coach I had. But now we've we've got more help. So we've got like a wrestling coach. We've got a guy here from Ukraine that helps us out. We've got someone helping with boxing as well. We've got more MMA athletes now as well that I can work with. And we're just building like a bigger team so we have more help as well.
Seems like it's the natural order as well, progression anyway, right? Like eventually it seems like it was going to get to this point, right?
Yeah.
Being able to have the right, the right people around you as well.
Yeah. Just like that a little bit extra support. And it's also motivating now that we're building this little team of, we've got like a few guys that are gonna get into the amateur MMA fight scene soon. So, I think if you watch it grow from the outside, it's it looks like we've gotten stronger over time. And with the little tests you have with losses and injuries and stuff, it really kind of tests you, and you have to spend so much time around each other as well. So sometimes things do get a little bit like heated or frustrated or but yeah, I think everything we've gone through, we're working better, like the best we ever have right now. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have him. Like you said, the way he words things, the way he explains things, he's a very intelligent person. So he's able to communicate thoughts very clearly.
Yeah, like I would imagine, like what I was thinking was like I could imagine even just like, I mean, I've been in a corner like in between rounds, right? And it's chaotic at times, right? Depending on how the fight's going, it can be chaotic. And I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, if he spoke to me in the corner, I would be able to, like, that's exactly how I would want to. I want someone to address me in the corner when shit's getting real fucking chaotic. You know
someone
what I mean?
to bring you back down.
Bring you back down. Like, obviously through watching you on TV and stuff, I can see him talking to you and etc. But obviously it's an advantage because I've been there. I've been there to see him like the way he is in the mats and stuff, you know. So, but yeah, that's one thing that always stood out to me, and I was like, man, I would want someone to address me and talk to me in a crazy situation the same way he would deliver, and I feel like it would stick, you know. And it's something that always stood out to me, and I thought, like you said, it's just, you know, you going out there and putting on a show is one thing, but having that foundation behind you to help you get there and get through this, and he does seem like a guy that will bear a lot on his shoulders if something doesn't work out for you, you know, which is you know one of his fighters. So and I always found it interesting, and I always said to him, like, it's just such an interesting duo, both of yous, you know. I just think you guys both work. I can see the love, coach and student love as well when you guys, you know, are competing, and I can see that it's real, you know. And it's always stood out to me, and I said it to him as well. I was like, you know, I feel like it's a great duo, you know. You both feed off each other really well. And I think that's something that stood out to me anyway.
I think when you're learning from someone who's kind of done all the disciplines as well, who's been competing their whole life in boxing and kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, it's they have a way of relating to you much better as well. So there's a deeper understanding of what needs to be done. Even like if we're together, we were at the JITS States a few weeks ago. There's a different way of communicating in those rounds and in the breaks. And while I'm competing on the mat, there's a different way of communicating than there is in a corner in a boxing ring. And I think because he's competed in all these things, he's very aware of that. Yeah,
relatable, right? In a way, knows how to. Yeah, that's true. How do you let's step outside of the octagon and the ring. What do you do to kind of switch off and keep yourself inspired and, you know, and keep yourself kind of, you know, I guess motivated in a sense? I mean, you know, motivated. I mean, there's plenty of things to keep you motivated, but what do you kind of do to switch off and keep yourself in a good place when you're not, you know, thinking about being in the mats, or because that could be.
I don't know when I'm not thinking about it. Yeah. At the moment, I'm like, that's all I think about when you've got a fight. All you think about is the fight.
At the moment,
as far as switching off, it sounds silly, but I watch fights to switch off. I just more so than fighting, I love martial arts, and I love each like discipline almost equally. So watching it and learning like a little bit more about each one. Like I'll do that before I go to sleep to sorry, excuse me. To like wind down and stuff.
It's funny because he was saying to me, Alex was saying to me, he's like, he'll randomly get messages from you during like fights and like, did you see this? Did you see that? So it's funny you're like sitting on the other end, you're sitting and telling, you know, you're saying it from your own words. I'll be
at like a gathering and like secretly watching something on my phone and being like, check this out. Like, It's just when you have, I think, so much desire and ambition to be in a certain place, it's very hard to like switch off and And even when you're in like a social setting, it's very hard to be present in that social setting for me. I think it's the same for him as well. But yeah, just at the moment with this stage of where I'm at, where everything is focused, it's probably not fair, especially on my home life, my partner. I'm so one track minded, but he's great with it. He's more than understanding. But yeah, I don't really I never switch off from it. I never stop thinking about it.
But just know how to kind of consume it in such a way that it doesn't, because sometimes it can be, I wouldn't say it could be a mental burnout, but you gotta, I think, know how to handle yourself, right? And obviously you being experienced and you've kind of been in the game for a while now, you probably know how to kind of handle it and not let it kind of, feed into it too much, being able to kind of see the videos or whatever it is, do your studies without it, consuming it too much, right?
Better this time. Last fight camp was pretty rough in that sense, in the like all-consuming, obsessive way. And especially with the training, the way I was training then and my attitude towards training then kind of dug me into a little hole with it. But yeah, like you learn.
In what sense?
Just the constant obsession with the result of the fight. And it like burdening me to a point that I couldn't even perform in the training because I was so obsessed with the result that I couldn't focus on the training. I was just focusing on everything I'm doing not being good enough. And then when that's constantly on your mind, you're not really present in the session anyway, and you're not like exploring, you're not having fun. You're just completely hung up on this idea of if I lose, I'm going to miss out on what I wanted for however many years. So I think this time I've learnt to manage those feelings better. And the first one, like, you're always scared of the unknown. So it was my first loss that I was scared of having, especially when something so important to me was on the line. And then when you do have that loss and you take your time to sort through it, you realize that it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be. It's not all over with one loss, and like you can kind of move forward from that now. Now that it's done, I can move forward without that like dark shadow of losing my first fight over me. Yeah.
Because that was the reasoning behind the question, because like it can probably get like that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're all in, man.
Yeah.
You're putting everything into this, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things to, outside of just going and getting through your sessions and physically training and etc. Mentally, emotionally, there's a lot that gotta kind of go through, and endeavor through in order to keep yourself like kind of good foundation for yourself, a steady foot to not lose sight of what you're trying to do, but at the same time, don't let that burn you out thinking about it as well, right? It's a lot, like that's something I think, unless you're in it or you talk to people that are in the game, those are the things that they don't see. You know what I mean? It's not just a matter of turning up to the mats and putting in a good session. It's just everything else. When you're not there, like, how do you handle yourself? How do you not let yourself mentally burn out thinking about something and psych yourself out thinking about things? So that was something that, that was kind of what the question was about. It was just because, like, it's a lot to manage just outside of just turning up to a session and training, what I mean? So what's your mindset like, leading up to a fight, but what's your mindset on the fight night? Like, before you walk out, and when you get in the the cage or the ring, what's your thought process during those three kind of different stages?
Yeah, I think it goes in stages on the night.
Yeah,
this is the
question I wrote down specifically for you. I wanted to ask you.
It's always the initial what am I doing here? Yeah. The initial why am I here again? Because especially when you first get to the venue, kind of nerves are all over you.
Yeah.
But then I start warming up. I start getting a little bit more comfortable, and then I start to talk to myself. That's so crazy. I start to talk to myself in my head about why I am there and why I'm doing this. And I try and talk myself through like the training camp and how it's only like I'm going to go out there and it's only 15 minutes, like in the scheme of things. Like the training camp has been 8 weeks, 5 hours a day. This is 15 minutes. I'm just asking myself to like be brave and be strong for. So it's not much really. And yeah, like having Alex there is a big part of it as well. He's a big part of my motivation with all the extra time and effort he has put into getting me where I am. Like I kind of feel like I'm not just doing it for me anymore. I'm doing it for like him and my other coaches in my team as well. So I think about that a lot. And yeah, with the last one, by the time it was time to go out, it was just very, very calm, very excited. Felt like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I feel like that takes practice too, right? Like you got to continuously with that positive self-talk and, you know, kind of let yourself know that, hey, like, I'm meant to be here. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I work my ass to get here. Like, it's almost like sometimes it's easy in those situations to kind of go down the wrong path mentally as well if you don't know how to nurture that situation in such a positive way as well, you know, which is why I always find it interesting, especially yourself now, like you got a fucking huge fight coming up and so many implications in it as well, right? Like you talked about how, you know, even just taking your first loss and just the lessons you learned from it and just, that, and then now you're in another similar opportunity where there's so many implications and you kind of, that's why I said to you, kind of mapped out for you already with the if you know the other fight taking place in September, but then learning how to fucking manage all of that and just being like, let's think about now, what am I doing now? And then, you know, everything kind of follows, right? But it's just as important, that positive self-talk.
I had to remember, like, especially when we got back into fight camp this time and after the last fight, I had to remember, sit and think about why I was doing it. And I was doing it because I love doing it. I just enjoy training. I love learning about it. And I forgot that last time. I forgot that I was there because I love it. I was just there because like I had to be and I wanted to win. Yeah. But this time it's been really like I love doing this and just setting like little goals with each training session. Like what is my goal here tonight? Like if I'm with like one of the like purple or brown belt guys who is much better than me, like my goal is not to beat him tonight, but my goal is to not get subbed tonight. Like just setting different intentions. Like, is this session for performance? Is this one for learning? What's this one for? And not being so, like, hung up on the results of each session. Yeah.
Small, like, minute goals, right? That kind of paint a bigger picture for you. Which is very important. It's something you touched on, which is very important as well. I think it's so easy sometimes when you're doing something and you forget you started for the love of it, and then it slowly can become a burden, or it can become like almost like, oh, it's like a job, like you know what I mean, like work, when really kind of got to wind yourself back a bit, right? And I think that's with anything. I always feel like you got to, if you're doing something out of passion, you should never forget why you started it. And it is easy to, and I feel like you need to go down that road where you've got to remind yourself again, you know, and that only comes from experiences.
Like last fight camp, I would get to training and be like, I can't wait for this to be over. Like, I just want to go home. And I just like, quickly, let's get through the session so I can get out of here. Because it was just like, it was just mentally exhausted. But this time, like, you turn up and it's like, all right, what are we going to learn today? And it's so exciting, and then it goes so quickly because you're so like in the zone and you're so captivated by whatever you're learning. So if you can do things with like love and passion, and the results like will come out a lot better. I almost felt like I betrayed like myself last time and betrayed like a sport that I loved so much by treating it like I didn't love it. It's the one thing in life that I want to do forever. And I felt like I betrayed myself a little bit by not enjoying it anymore. But lessons learned.
But I almost feel like maybe that's what you needed to go through, you know, to remind you. Like, it's hard, man, when you're doing something and that's all you know for years on end, days on end. There's going to be times where you're going to hit little moments and you're questioning it, or, you know, the thought process changes. But then I feel like all that happens because you got to wind yourself and bring yourself back to that, and center yourself again. You know what I mean? And that only happens when you go through that. You know what I mean? It's not going to just happen otherwise, right? It's funny because I know we touched on it. You were asking him about myself, and then we're touching on it before we started. And it's funny you said that. And it almost speaks so much volume to how I'm feeling, what you just said about like losing yourself, you know what I mean? Because now when I'm training, the pressure's not there. Like, you know, obviously told you my wife expecting all these things. Like, I'm just back just enjoying training again.
Yeah.
And the love's there, like the love's there, you know, the love that I knew I had. But then
perform better when you have that love.
Better. And then it's just like, I just feel like the weight's off. I'm not thinking, oh, fuck, yeah, okay, when am I going to fight? Or, you know, if I train, then I got to have a fight. You know what I mean? Ready. And, you know, like all that. I'm just like, you know what? When all that happened, when I lost, obviously, like anyone, no one wants to lose it. You know, I carried a lot of weight on my back on it. I was like, you know, was I stupid to take it on? Like things like that. But then I just like told myself, just get back into the gym, go back and fucking enjoy it. Like you did it because you found it from, you know, you found it to provide you with discipline. Like, why did you do it? You did it because you were in a bad place. You found this thing called martial arts and it changed your life. Go back to that feeling. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I simplified it a little bit. And it's funny, you know, it was nice for you to say that because it spoke volumes to how I'm feeling and how I felt in the last maybe month, 2 months, you know what I mean? And it's so true. You forget like why you did it. Like what, you know, I didn't do it because I wanted to compete and be what, you know what I mean? I did it because I love being in that space and I love training and, you know, and I kind of had to simplify it. So I'm glad that, you know, you went through that and you found that, because I think if passion is at the top of the order always and why you love doing it, everything else will just connect to you. You know what I mean? When it starts becoming a burden, then not even just that. I feel like everything externally just becomes you know, ugly in a sense. You know what I mean?
And it stunts like your creativity. It stunts your ability to like really do anything special because I wouldn't say you're doing the bare minimum, but you're just doing what you feel you need to do to get the result you want, rather than exploring what you're actually capable of.
Because you're wearing yourself down too much, and at some point, it's not the physical weight that's wearing you down; it's that emotional, that thinking too much, that, you know, and that weighs you down so much, and you don't even realize it. And then I feel like in other areas of your life as well, it just trickles down, you know. And I feel like that's why it's such a vulnerability and sensitivity for athletes, because as a whole, you got to be good, you know. It's not just going into the gym. In life, in how you feel and how you think and your relationships and everything fucking connects, you know what I mean? So I think it's so important in that sense. So, do you feel like with training and stuff, I mean, obviously you leveled up, but like how's that been like when you compare yourself to when you first started to all the growth? Are you finding that, obviously you said you've got a new team now, or you got people working in specific things with you, you know, do you see yourself, can you feeling yourself at that? Because to me it almost seems like you've outgrown Australia in my eyes. Like I feel like you're really starting to, you know, push yourself amongst the world stage, and it seems like that's where your head's at. Do you feel like in terms of the skills and the leveling up that you got that now? Like you got the right people around you to be able to put you in that world stage? Yeah.
I think if you if you have a look, especially at like Australian MMA. Like Australian MMA is killing it. So it's not like we're behind the rest of the world.
Especially in MMA, I think very early on, we caught up to the world in comparison to like boxing or whatever it is. Like, you know, boxers generally have this in their head to go overseas and train in America, etc. But I feel like with MMA, very early on, we like the gap. We closed the gap much quicker than what people may have imagined.
We're killing it in the guys that went from there's a few that went from Eternal into the UFC or Contender Series. Everyone's killing it. People fighting in other organizations overseas. But as far as my team, I've got everything I need. Like I'm always gonna look for training partners. Like I've been training a little bit at Igor MMA. I've been doing my sparring there because there's a bunch of there's a bunch of guys there that, even if they're a bit bigger, like they're quite experienced, so they know how to work with someone who's smaller as well. So I got a good like sparring group there.
Nice.
I got a bunch of like like younger guys at ours that are coming up, like guys that are like 16, 17. and because they're not fully grown as well, like they're not as strong. They don't have their man strength yet. So gotcha, have a good rounds with them as well. Yeah. But as far as like everything about my fight camp and everything about training camp stems from Alex. Alex organizes all of it. Alex is the brains of everything. Yep. So I feel like as long as I have him organizing things and watching my sparring, and we sit and we watch fighting, and the way he explains combat to me so that I can think for myself a little bit more rather than having to wait for instruction. I feel like I'm growing a lot quicker as well. I'm kind of taking learning into my own hands now. So yeah, I feel like I've got what I need. I am going to go do a training camp before the September fight in Sweden with Josephine, the girl that I fought last. Oh, yeah. Cool. But Alex is going to hopefully come to that as well. Nice. So we're always going to be looking for training partners. But as far as coaching and, I've got everything.
Having the right team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you feeling like you have to, promote yourself in a sense, like to, like you were talking about obviously Japan and, them trying to, get you to play a certain person or character or whatever it is. Are you finding now that you're hitting the world stage, are you finding that you have to kind of go outside of your comfort zone when it comes to like promoting yourself, or are you feeling like you can still be how you want to be without having to kind of, sell too much in order to kind of get exposure or whatever it is in that sense?
No, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with just being me. Yeah. I don't know if it sounds arrogant, but most people seem to like me as me anyway. Yeah. So I don't feel the need to put much on.
I agree.
Even when I went to Japan and played that villain role, when it comes to the fight, I am like a bit of a villain. I am a bit of a I'll probably get up in someone's face on my own anyway. I tried to do it to Ruiz a little bit too. So I didn't feel like that was unauthentic. It was like I did want to. I am gonna play the bad guy. Like I am gonna come from overseas to your own country and beat you on your own show, hopefully knock you out or submit you. So like I do have all those intentions. I do feel that way. I do want to be violent towards you. So but as far as like the promotion, we talk about like this a lot, and there's a lot of fighters that work really hard on it. But I feel that everything I want will come in time. I'm not gonna push for it. I'm not gonna like put some kind of persona on or work really hard to like work over the top to promote myself. I think everything that I want will come with the wins that I get. So I just kind of try to put my head down and win the fights. And then after you win each fight, more and more opportunities come. And when the opportunities do come, they're going to be in line with who I am as well.
I just feel like, take a scenario, if you're in a press conference, someone talks shit to you, you're going to talk shit back. You know what I mean?
If I'm on the street and someone talks shit to me,
great dance. Exactly. It also comes to having a perfect dance partner as well. You know what I mean? Like
me and Josephine went back and forth for a little bit. And that was all authentic. I did everything I said about her is what I felt, and which was the truth. And she said the same back to me. And if she was sitting here, we would have said the same thing to each other.
That's the way. That's how I was thinking about it. I was like, fuck. End of the day, someone's gonna say something.
And girls automatically get real snarky with each other too. So it feels natural. Like
that's hilarious. Look, I won't keep you for too long. I know you got hectic weeks and so much, but I really do appreciate it. I know it's so close to your fight, and you gave me your time.
I think our first one was when I first ever went pro.
My
first ever pro kickboxing on Muay Thai fight.
Yeah, man.
So it's very cool.
Way back. I'm pretty sure your boyfriend was just watching Netflix outside.
No, that was the second one.
Was that the second one?
Yeah, first one I came to your house.
You came to where we were, North Kellyville.
And I came from work.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we did it.
Yeah.
And then we did it again, and Quincy came. And then I think this would be number 3. Oh, and then you came to the gym and did the series.
Yeah, the series.
And then this will be number 4.
This will be the fourth one. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's been amazing, man. It's been amazing to watch your growth and and just just seeing you push yourself and elevate yourself each time, and obviously when the latest fight got announced, and then, you know, all the little implications behind it. And obviously, like, just, it's important, you know, especially women's MMA in Australia as well. You know, it's very important to be able to push it as well, because I think we got some amazing athletes here, you know, and it'll be good to see them in the world stage as well. Yeah, look, I knew I was a bit hesitant because I knew you were close to the fight, but I thought, you know what, I'll ask you anyway, because it'll be good to kind of talk to you while you're in that mind frame as well. Man, I don't have to tell you how much of a fan I am. I know for a fact there's a lot of fighting purists that are fans of you, and you know, you in Australia as well. Obviously that video was surfacing around that we all shared about, you know, how good you are, and being number one ranked as well. And I think it's important. It's important, and I think, and I said this to Alex. I think, I personally believe you're not far off, and I know that you're doing everything in your power to, you know, fight in the best promotions in the world. And, you know, and if UFC is the best promotion, then I have no doubt in my mind you'll get there. Everyone's roads lead there differently, and I think yours is no different, you know. And but first of all, let's get this next one done, and you know, and yeah, man, always got a microphone.
You're always our favorite.
Yeah, always got a microphone here, man.
Awesome.
Always got a microphone here for you whenever you need to come and speak your mind. And then, you know, maybe after this one, maybe leading to the title fight, we'll get Alex in as well, and you know, we'll definitely have a good chat. And I appreciate you giving your time. I know with training weeks and things like that, it's hectic, so I really appreciate you dropping by. And man, I really hope it all plays out, and I know it will, but inside I really hope it all plays out the way you got it planned for yourself.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.